The big question in Islamabad is the identity of the man seen alongside JD Vance, with scrutiny centering on Dubai-based businessman Umar Farooq Zahoor. Vance's April 11th arrival in Pakistan has sparked fresh buzz because the airport encounter is now being revisited ahead of the second round of Iran-related talks. Did Pakistan's Army Chief Asim Munir introduce Vance to a fraudster? Here's all you need to know. US Vice President JD Vance's Pakistan visit on April 11th is still making headlines because a brief airport interaction from that trip continues to attract fresh scrutiny. JD Vance was introduced to Umar Farooq Zahoor upon arriving in Pakistan for the Iran peace talks, according to reports and footage now circulating online. US envoy Steve Witkoff was spotted leading Vance and appearing to introduce him to Zahor at the airport in Islamabad. Zahor's background is the main reason why that otherwise brief airport interaction is drawing such intense scrutiny. Zahor is a Dubai-based businessman who is wanted in Norway in connection with one of the country's biggest bank fraud and money laundering cases, according to multiple reports. Zahor is also a recipient of the Hilal-e-Imtiaz, Pakistan's second highest civilian honor. Notably, he has also faced scrutiny in Switzerland over alleged dubious financial dealings tied to a fake bank case. Zahor was a whistleblower in the Toshakhana case, the scandal that helped send former Prime Minister Imran Khan to jail. Former Prime Minister Imran Khan is widely regarded as Army Chief Asim Munir's biggest political rival in Pakistan. Who is Umar Farooq Zahoor, the fugitive businessman seen with JD Vance? He was reportedly born in Oslo to parents from Sialkot. Zahor currently operates out of Dubai. He publicly describes himself as a businessman, investor, and entrepreneur. Norwegian authorities consider him a fugitive. His first recorded conviction dates back to 2003, when he was convicted in Norway in an embezzlement-related case. Reports say Zahor later evaded sentencing and left Norway. The earlier sentence eventually lapsed after 10 years. Since 2010, Zahor has been tied to a major fraud and money laundering case linked to Nordea Bank in Norway. Authorities allege that more than 60 million Norwegian kroner was siphoned off in that case. He has also been accused of setting up a fake bank in Switzerland in 2004 as part of an alleged financial fraud scheme. That Swiss case involved allegations that investors in Zurich were defrauded of around $20 million. Zahor's name also surfaced in the controversial $510 million Ameri power deal in Ghana, where reports said he played a key role. Despite the controversy around his name, Zahor is still celebrated in Pakistan for bringing in large-scale investment and cultivating ties with the country's power structure. Trump may not be ready to extend the two-week truce with Iran as the deadline approaches, with the ceasefire now entering its final hours and fresh doubts growing over whether he wants to prolong the pause in fighting. The Wall Street Journal made that revelation on April 20th, citing sources who said Trump was unlikely to keep the ceasefire in place if no agreement is reached before the current deadline runs out. The two-week ceasefire in Iran is set to expire on April 22nd amid rising uncertainty over the talks, leaving negotiators under pressure as the diplomatic window appears to be narrowing fast. Notably, Iran has not publicly confirmed attendance in the second round of peace talks, and official Iranian messaging has continued to cast doubt over whether Tehran is fully on board. But Iran has signaled to mediators that it intends to send a delegation, according to reports, suggesting Tehran may still be keeping the door open for diplomacy despite its public hesitation. Trump is now being blamed for torpedoing the Iran talks with what officials described as non-stop public commentary at a highly delicate stage in the negotiations. Several of Trump's own advisors told CNN that the talks were on the verge of a breakthrough last week before his repeated public interventions began to complicate the process. However, Trump then began commenting publicly on the talks through social media posts and media interviews, injecting fresh uncertainty into an already fragile diplomatic track. Trump even went ahead and claimed that Iran was ready to give up its enriched uranium stockpile as part of a possible agreement. That move prompted Iranian officials to quickly issue denials of Trump's claims, pushing back against his version of the negotiations. The talks were at a sensitive stage when Trump began weighing in, and CNN reported that his public remarks did not help matters. US officials also suggested Trump caused further harm by continuing to take calls from reporters and speaking publicly as negotiations remained unresolved. Trump also recently created confusion over JD Vance's anticipated visit to Pakistan, adding to the broader uncertainty around the talks. On April 19th, Trump claimed that JD Vance would not be attending the second round of talks with Iran. Soon after, the White House clarified that Vance would in fact be leading the US delegation in Pakistan. On April 20th, Trump then claimed in an interview that Vance had already departed for Islamabad. However, reports suggested that Vance was still in Washington at the time and was only expected to leave on April 21st. Trump subsequently claimed that a deal with Iran would be reached on April 20th itself, despite the fact that the talks were not scheduled until the following day. In reality, the talks were tied to April 21st and remained clouded by uncertainty over whether Iran would attend at all. Trump later told Bloomberg that the truce would end on April 22nd, further adding to the confusion over the diplomatic timeline.
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that look, you will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest news makers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the U.S. will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry ghats.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Deep dive into burning issues.
It's often said DRC could be the richest country in the whole world. It's because of what sits underneath.
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HD videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.